Blackwood Manor, a name whispered with fear, shrouded in chilling tales. Locals spoke of unspeakable horrors, of souls trapped within its walls. The manor stood on a desolate moor, its silhouette a jagged scar against the stormy sky. Gargoyles, frozen in eternal screams, watched from above. Ivy, like grasping claws, choked the stone facade. Each stone breathed a history of darkness, a legacy of evil. Built centuries ago, Blackwood Manor witnessed generations of suffering. It was a place of whispers, a sanctuary for shadows. Its first owner, a cruel lord, met a gruesome end within its walls. Tortured souls denied peace haunted the manor. Their agony seeped into the very foundation, staining it with despair. The manor stood as a testament to their pain, a monument to their torment. Ethan Hayes, a young writer seeking inspiration, dismissed the local legends. He saw Blackwood Manor as a sanctuary, a place to escape the city's clamour. He yearned for solitude, for an escape from reality. He craved a story, unaware of the horrors that awaited. The day he arrived, a cold wind whipped around him. The sky wept a mournful rain. The manor seemed to loom, its shadows swallowing him whole. An uneasiness gnawed at him, a prickle on his skin. He ignored it, attributing it to the weather, but deep down a primal fear stirred. The manor had welcomed him home. The first few nights were the hardest. The silence was deafening, broken only by the creaking of the old house. Shadows danced at the edge of his vision. Whispers seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. They whispered his name, cold and ethereal. One night he awoke to the sound of children laughing. The laughter echoed down the hallway, chilling him to the bone. He followed the sound, drawn by an unseen force. It led him to a dusty nursery, its rocking horse swaying gently. He saw a fleeting image, a woman, her face obscured by shadow, cradling an empty space. And then she was gone. The laughter ceased. He had just had his first encounter. The encounters escalated, growing increasingly disturbing. Doors slammed shut on their own. Objects moved inexplicably. The scent of decay lingered in the air, suffocating, heavy. He found strange symbols etched into the walls, symbols of ancient, forgotten rituals. One evening, as he sat by the fireplace, a cold hand grasped his shoulder. He whirled around to find himself face to face with a horrifying apparition. A man with empty sockets for eyes, his flesh rotting and decayed, stood before him. Blood trickled from his mouth, staining his ragged clothes. The man reached for him, his touch like ice. Ethan stumbled back, his heart pounding in his chest. The apparition vanished as quickly as it had appeared, leaving behind the stench of death and decay. Driven by terror and morbid curiosity, Ethan delved into the history of Blackwood Manor. He discovered a hidden room in the basement, a room stained with blood and despair. The air hung heavy with the stench of death. Chains hung from the walls and rusted instruments of torture lay scattered on the floor. He found a diary, its pages filled with the ramblings of a madman. The diary spoke of sacrifices, of unspeakable acts committed within those walls. The lord of the manor, driven mad by his lust for power, had made a pact with a dark entity. He had sacrificed his own family, their blood feeding the entity's power. Ethan realized with a growing horror that he was not just witnessing the ghosts of the past. He was living them. He was trapped in a cycle of pain and suffering, doomed to repeat the horrors of Blackwood Manor. The apparitions grew bolder, their anger palpable. They were no longer content to simply haunt him. They wanted revenge. They wanted him to suffer as they had suffered. One night, the ghosts of the Lord's family appeared before him. Their eyes burned with hatred, their voices filled with anguish. They blamed him, their descendant, for their fate. Ethan found himself dragged to the very room where the sacrifices had taken place. He struggled against unseen hands, his screams swallowed by the darkness. He saw the glint of a blade, felt the searing pain as it pierced his flesh. The last thing he saw before darkness consumed him was the face of the Lord, a triumphant smirk twisting his decaying features. The cycle was complete. Blackwood Manor had claimed another victim. The manor stood silent, its secrets kept safe within its blood-stained walls. The ghosts had their revenge, and Ethan? He became another lost soul, another whisper in the darkness of Blackwood Manor.